we live in a time where a lot of rules and laws are considered outdated. Over the time, there have been able to make certain subjects like sexuality or gender less of a taboo and make it more normalized and welcomed. People are able to identify themselves in many ways without being scared now. But with that being said, according to dailybeast.com, when you're gender nonconforming, it is hard to know where you belong, especially when using the bathroom. I feel like this is important because a lot of people who do not identify with gender, or they are still figuring themselves out, they don't feel safe or wanted using a specific one gender bathroom. And this happens a lot in the trans community. So before we get into why it's a problem to not have any gender neutral bathrooms, I want to talk about the root of the problem before we go into depth of the situation. So not having the option of a gender neutral bathroom hurts a huge part of the LGBTQIA plus, includes trans people, any queer person who identifies with something other than male or female, or they don't identify with the gender at all. They don't feel welcomed in these places. And this is a quote, but these bathrooms in schools also pose difficulty to transgender and gender nonconforming students. Glisten research shows that nearly two-thirds of transgender students avoid using school bathrooms because they feel unsafe or uncomfortable. So this is a claim from the glisten.org website. So this is a problem that occurs all over the world, and here in America, we have made, some progress towards a solution for that. I know here in California there is a lot of restaurants or a lot of places where there is gender neutral restrooms, but a lot of the big corporate stores do not have these, unfortunately. Um, Deciding which bathroom to use in common is a common problem for people who identify with transgender. In a recent U.S. survey of transgender people, nearly 1 in 10 responded that they have been denied the access to a bathroom in the past year. So it's a really sad fact that transgender people are not able to use this like simple given right to use the restroom. They also receive taunting, death threats, or they experience violence that no one else would experience just for using the restroom. And if unisex bathrooms were to become the norm, this will no longer be a problem, states an article on washawareness.com. So this proves that it's hurting a group of individuals that have been looking for a sense of belonging for a really long time now. Like this has been going on for like I'd say decades. And so now that we know a little bit about the situation, I want to address what or who is causing this problem. A recently proposed Indiana law would make it a crime for a person to enter single-sex public restrooms that does not match the person's biological gender. So they are saying that it is, or it would be considered a crime if you do not use your biological gender. States the article on Gerson on NewYork.com written by Jenny Gerson. So in America, there are states that discriminate against those who are gender nonconformists or trans. There have been laws put in place to protect the people, but in states that are primarily conservative, like the South, we still see this being a problem. I would say in California, I do not see like this much of this kind of conservatism, mainly because it is a liberal states, and 32% of people who do not identify with the gender or are part of the trans community avoid drinking or eating in public because they fear that they might have to use the bathroom, and they do not want to hold on in that their bodily fluids, because that can cause health issues. It can develop a urinary tract infection or other kidney related problems just because they are holding in and not being able to use the bathroom. So this, like, people make this a problem. They're making it a problem. Like, it could be a solution there could be made a solution, but some people just do not want to. And living somewhere where it is the best country in the world, where everyone's supposed to be safe and included, I feel like there is a big part of communities that do not feel included. I can really go on all day and week about telling you why not having gender neutral bathrooms could be a problem. But if I would not move on, how could I tell you how to solve it? And what would be the point of the speech, right? So these past couple years, we have had a president that destroyed, unfortunately, everything that we've done, all the projects that we've done for an all-inclusive, like bathrooms, all-inclusive safe spaces, and sadly, we had to start again. So hopefully, with this new president, we are able to um, make this happen and make it happen faster. I feel like we should start with big corporations and enforce them to have gender neutral restrooms, since they are big retail places that are able to afford to make these restrooms for these groups of people. And who knows, maybe it can really boost the business for some of these retail places, because some people do avoid going to these places because they feel like they are not fairly represented, or they do not feel safe in those spaces. This will also help employees who also feel the need to use gender neutral bathrooms. If a work location offers only gendered bathrooms, it might make employees feel uncomfortable as if they aren't being recognized, states an article on shrm.org. And honestly, I personally have many friends and families who would feel safe knowing that there is somewhere they can go and not have to fear any discrimination from anyone. Make it clear that all people may use the bathroom that is right for them, UUA.org claims. Any place that do have all-inclusive restrooms should have a sign out on their window so customers know that if they identify with nonconformist or trans, that they have somewhere to go and they can feel safe. So there's only so much that we people can do, and if we want to see that change in society, we need to make our voices heard. This discrimination and hate that people experience is deep. I feel like it's deep rooted in America, because I feel like America has been created and built on discrimination and hate and just racism overall. So it's already systematic. So having these places that show that they support these people and they would feel appreciated, they'd feel safe and accepted. It would give them a sense of belonging. And having these gender neutral restrooms benefits so many people who do not identify with gender neutral or gender nonconformist or trans. But it would also help abuse survivors feel safe when they are most vulnerable. I know that a lot of women or men or trans men have gone through things that gender has done to them, and it's not always very polite what they do. So that make them feel safe, because after all, America is where you want to feel safe, right? So we can be an amazing example for other countries who have yet to do something about the issue, as well that we can be the change that everyone needs to see, so that way everyone around us can start doing that change as well. Thank you so much for listening to my speech.